Hey, it's Clay. Welcome to another video. This is going to be a golf swing analysis for Guitarchitect 7. Thank you very much for sending this in. Let's go ahead and take a look and see if we can't make some improvements. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by taking a look at your basic setup. I'm kind of the opinion that setup is probably the easiest thing, some of the easiest swing changes that you can make, and they also can have some of the most profound effect. A lot of the habits that you build in your golf swing are built off of your setup. And there's two things I want to highlight just to start. First is let's talk about your tilts. And by that I mean, I'm actually going to use this one. If we would think about how your body is aligned. Now the camera angle might be a little bit, I guess, misaligned. I'm not sure if it's a straight 90 degrees out. You know, if this is your toe line, this is it's probably okay. I'm not gonna pick on that too bad. But what I see here is that you have a little bit of a K setup, meaning that you're kind of like this. Basically you are, this hip, your rear hip appears to be kind of bumped a little bit this way, which is causing kind of a little bit of this angle here on your lead side. So it almost looks as if you are kind of leaning a little bit this way. And basically, I think that creates a big problem with your, as we work through your swing, it actually only gets more that way. So if I pause here at the top, you have quite a bit of that reverse K look. You know, where I think you can definitely see how you've kind of shifted and kind of, again, this angle here is kind of curved, whereas this angle is pretty straight. And I would say that that is, as far as a weight transfer goes, the golf swing tends to be kind of an equal and opposite setup. I think there's a lot of physics. You know, what goes up must come down, or something, whatever, however you want to phrase it. So then, because you're kind of your hip is bumped out and your upper body is leaning left, then in the downswing you kind of have to overcome that. And I think that that's what kind of leads to what appears to be some early extension in a more of a flipping style release, just because have gotten yourself into a bit of a weird position. So let's talk about fixing that. Basically, I would recommend that you take these alignment sticks you've got right here and simply use them. Put one across your hips and one across your shoulders. Now, if you're wearing like jeans or pants that have a belt loop, slide it through your belt loop. If not, just use one arm to hold the low one and one arm to use the high one. And use that to help give you a kind of a baseline reference as far as how you are getting things set up. And what you really want to see is that because your right hand is sitting below your left hand, you want to see a little bit of a natural tilt in your shoulders, more kind of like this, right? That and that subsequently, because of that, take this hip right here and bump it this way just a little bit, so that you almost create what it would be more of a straight line from, you know, so it would, and I'm not, like I said, the camera angles are crucial, so don't quote me on this, but basically you want more of a straight line setup from your left, the outer part of your left leg to your shoulder and then your hip. So this needs to move more kind of to this position. Okay, so right shoulder is going to come down, left hip's going to bump forward. And I think that will really help you quite a lot. So then what you really want to do as a result of this better tilt is, let's follow you into your backswing. Okay, so I'm going to keep some of these lines, not all of them. We're going to draw another line, give you a box here, okay? do this one. Well, that one's actually pretty good. I'm also going to draw a box around your head. And what I'm looking for is just to track your lateral movement. Okay? So as we follow you up, you can see that you have quite a bit of sway and kind of lean there, where your right hip is now higher than your left hip, and your back has kind of tilted this direction, and this kind of has gone this way. So your spine is kind of right here, tilting. Basically, I want you to try and create the opposite effect, okay? So what I want you to do is to feel like this knee, instead of moving this way so much, just kind of comes this way, out towards the camera. And that this knee straightens, okay? And then as a result of that, you're going to feel a lot of pressure here in this part of the inner part of your right leg. And that's exactly what you want, kind of in this ball of the foot heel. You want to feel a lot of pressure. And then you want to be turning your shoulders in such a way that your spine is more like just ever so slightly angled backwards, okay? And I think that will be huge if you can start loading the right side of your body in the backswing more effectively. I think that will be a tremendous benefit to your ability to generate power, okay? So that is tilt. Now let's talk about the other thing I wanted to mention, which is grip. I'm not going to go into as much detail, but to me it appears that your grip, I'm looking at this V right here, kind of looks like it's pointing this way. Now I can't see your left hand, but I'm going to assume that it is kind of on a similar position, and this would make a grip that is very, very weak. And weak grips tend to lead to open club faces. Open club faces need to be closed. And one of some of the checkpoints there is, if you look here at the top of the swing, I think you'll notice that the club is basically pointing almost completely toe down this way. And I think you want it to be more, and I can't really see it so great from this angle, but more kind of matching this angle of your forearm. So maybe just kind of more like this, pointing a little bit more sky up than what it is currently. And then ultimately, I think where that really leads you to go astray is when you come down. If you'll notice right about here, you really start throwing these angles away in your wrist. And especially right here, I think you can really see how big this angle is getting. And then as we get into impact, you can actually see that the club head has overtaken the hands. And by that I mean, if you draw a line down the left forearm, you can see that that's kind of an indicator of your point of control. And once the club head passes over that, you're basically, it kind of looks like it happens right about here. So what happens is when the club head passes over your hands, you basically lose control and power. It's almost like if you think about throwing an axe at a target. When you wind up, and then you throw, and then once the axe leaves your hand, it's going where it's going. There's no more course correction. There's no more ability to add power or to aim it. It's going where it's going. Now in the golf swing, it's a little bit different because the ball is obviously the primary thing, but the club head is what you use to strike the ball, and so now you don't physically release it like an axe, but I think the same concept would apply, that your ability to control it once it passes over your hands is diminished greatly. And I really think that what you're doing is you're using this kind of what I'm going to call more of a flip-style release to compensate for this open grip, because flipping the club will close the club face. So you need to learn how to close the club face in a different way. And the most fundamental way of doing that would be by changing your grip. So look up some videos on YouTube, but the basic idea is that you want to spin, if you look down and your hands are holding the club, you want to take your left hand first and turn it clockwise. So it's spinning around the grip in a clockwise fashion as you look down. And what that will do is it will expose more of the knuckles on your left hand. And so if you're looking down on the club while you grip it, while it's on the ground, I want you to be able to see probably 2 or maybe 3 knuckles. So I'm talking about these guys right here. You need to be able to see more of those knuckles. And then with this right hand, I would tend to look at the V that you're making with these two, your thumb and your pointer finger. And instead of it pointing kind of this way, get it, again, spin it clockwise so it matches and it's pointing more up your right shoulder. Okay, so give those 2 things a shot. Again, these are setup issues, right? Use a mirror or your alignment sticks to help fix some of your setup issues. And then with a grip, honestly, changing a grip is something that feels very uncomfortable, but is actually very easy to do. It just takes repetition. You see, while you're sitting around, get a club in your hand. You can go to Play It Again Sports and buy a $5 wedge and just hold it in your hand in your living room and just waggle it for 10 minutes while you're watching TV at night and just get a feel for what it means to hold the club that way. And I think if you can get some of these setup changes in place, I think you might be able to see some pretty big gains. Now, don't stop here. These setup changes need to be implemented into making a new motion with your golf swing, but the idea is that you can't make a better motion without first putting your body in a position to do so. So please let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Please consider subscribing if you find this kind of content interesting, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.